Hey everyone, it's Evan Kirstel. Have a really interesting guest. I'm a huge fan of European tech and Europe in general. And today we have the leading provider of unified communications and collaboration tools headquartered out of Europe, Enreach. Super excited to have the CEO founder here. Fascinating guy. We're going to learn a lot about the marketplace, about his entrepreneurial journey, and where the communications market in Europe is headed. Before I bring Stijn on to the show, let me play a quick video to kind of give you some context around who is Enreach. So, Stijn Nijhuis from Enreach, welcome to our live stream. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Evan, and thanks for pronouncing my name right. That is not always the case.
Well, thanks for joining me live here from the Netherlands. Super excited to talk about your journey at Enreach, and a company that many folks here in the US are not familiar with. So maybe to start, you could introduce yourself and Enreach for the audience.
Sure, thanks. So my name is Stijn Nijhuis. I'm the founder and CEO of Enreach. Enreach is a group of companies that came together in 2018. Before that time, I was the co-founder of VoiceWorks in the Netherlands, which we started in 2005. So Enreach is market leader in many European countries when it comes to UC as a service, and has recently evolved itself beyond that basically into what we call converged contact solutions, which is a broader scope than just UC, which we'll touch upon later. We serve the SMB, but up to mid-sized companies throughout Europe in many different geographies right now. And we are growing organically and inorganically, looking to conquer Europe and create contact magic, as we like to say.
I love that term, contact magic. I need some magic in my life. So you were actually created at Enreach in 2018, but things have changed just a little bit over the last number of years. So what was the initial value proposition to customers then, and what do they value today?
Well, I would say in 2018, we were coming together mainly as a Dutch company and a German company. And the value proposition at that time was still, we were providing SIP trunking services, moving into Cloud PBX services, and combining that with mostly mobile services, I would say. And what we've seen in the past 4 years is that has rapidly accelerated. SIP trunking is basically a service. We're still growing it, but it's not growing that fast anymore. Most people are moving now faster in Germany away from on-premise, more towards the cloud, even faster than I would say before the pandemic, which happened to us in the meantime, of course. So we see a lot of Cloud PBX growth combined with mobile, and recently we've also added and expanded our feature set there. We see that people want to get their UCaaS, but also their CCaaS services from one provider. So we've also added CCaaS portfolio to our portfolio in both Germany and the Netherlands, and actually more European countries. And we've expanded our portfolio with productivity services. So this includes the basic IT services that many customers in our existing markets also wanted to procure from us. So I would say in a nutshell, our portfolio has grown, but also our coverage has grown. We have, when we started, we were just in Germany and the Netherlands. We are now also in France, in Spain, in the UK, in Finland, Sweden, Denmark, Latvia, and I'm sure I'm forgetting a country, but I think that's the main gist of it. So many new countries, also many new services, and we launched a new brand and are now converging all of those countries towards one brand and one portfolio set. So I would say a lot has happened, yes.
Wow, that's a lot indeed. And it's a lot of evolution and really revolution in the marketplace How do you stay ahead of customer requirements, customer needs? They change so quickly, particularly in the pandemic, and as we emerge from the pandemic. What's your approach there?
Yeah, I would say we are now a company with roughly 1,200 people. So one thing we try to do is it's a bit of a cliche. We try to stay agile, and we've taken that, I would say, one step further. We are a self-organization. So we run a governance system called Holacracy, which means we don't really have managers anymore. We have self-organizing teams that all organize around our purpose, which is to create contact magic, which in a nutshell means we let people take their own decisions without getting approval all the way from the top, which means we can rapidly change our offers or change our approach when customer needs are changing close towards the customer. So the decisions get taken close towards the customer. I think that's one part of it. I would say the second is Europe is not one market. And the nice thing is that we are learning from many different markets. So we are, for instance, very active in the Finnish market, where mobile only is now the norm. There are almost no fixed phones anymore on anyone's desk. Everybody is using their mobile as their primary device. We see that behavior now coming also towards Denmark, towards the Netherlands, towards Germany and Spain. But we have already learned a lot from our years of experience with that in the Finnish market. So what is very interesting is that we can apply some learnings from markets that may be a few steps ahead of other markets and apply them in the markets that are a few years behind. So it almost gives us a glimpse of the future, I would say. So I would say that's the way we try to meet and stay ahead of the customer demands.
Glimpse of the future, indeed. That's fascinating. I'm going to have to Google Holacracy and do my homework there. It's a new term
I'm
of art.
happy to have a follow-up with you on that. No problem.
Thank you. In addition to all the customer excitement, you personally were named Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year. Congratulations. And tell us about that journey. That is fabulous. Congratulations again.
Well, I really think they should rename the award towards Company of the Year, because it's not something I did by myself, and in this case, literally not, because as I
That's
said,
not a very American approach. We like to take all the credit.
Oh, well, then I still, yeah, we have, like I said, we're a self-organization, so this is something that basically, I have a little bit of a contrary approach to leadership, meaning for me, an ideal workday is that I'm not that needed anymore, and maybe I can focus on what's the next thing. So I've been doing that already for the past 20 years as an entrepreneur, continuously trying to scale the company by making myself less the bottleneck. And yeah, it's interesting to see that EY in their competition noticed this, and if they want to put an award on that, that's great, and I'm really proud of it. But it's really, really, and it sounds like a cliche, but in this case, it's really a team effort, and I would say I had something to do with it, but I think it's also very much what we as a team did together, and all the decisions that were taken, not by me, but by others in the company, that led to that success. So it was a great mission. We celebrated it as Enreach, and I see it as a sign of encouragement to continue down the path that we're on.
Wonderful, wonderful. I'm looking at your website. I see Enreach describes services as converged contact services, holistic solutions that transform interactions. Now, convergence has been a topic top of mind for many years, but tell us what converged contact means, because that's kind of a new one for me.
Yeah, that could be because we invented it. So we were looking for a term to better summarize what we were doing. And UC or UCaaS, of course, is the industry standard. Many end customers don't know what it means. Now, of course, some end customers don't know what converged contact solutions means, but we think we can better explain that. Because for us already, in 2012, we were a full MVNO, as an example. So that means we were providing SIM cards with native GSM integration of the mobile network with our UCaaS services. We have now this in nine European countries. We are serving this. In addition, like I said, we acquired CCaaS businesses, and we have now 3 different solutions in the CCaaS space: one for outbound, one for inbound, and also one for embedded voice into Salesforce and into Dynamics. So UCaaS doesn't cut it anymore. So we were looking for a new term that summarizes our complete portfolio. Also because more customers want to buy the complete portfolio from us. So they don't say anymore, I want to have an island solution for my CCaaS, for my contact center agents, and then separately I'll procure a PBX solution. They want to have the holistic solution, which often even includes our basic IT services nowadays. And for us, at the core of it is contact. It's the spontaneous or planned interaction that leads to further collaboration. And that's why we call ourselves Converged Contact Solutions Player, which means we we provide that contact. We integrate all the different means of contact for you, and we can even do that on top of our own solutions, but also on top of Microsoft Teams, for example, or Salesforce or Dynamics. So it's for us a better term that summarizes the entire landscape instead of just highlighting one solution, which is UC.
That's fantastic. Well, I hope the industry coalesces around some of those ideas. I think it would be a step forward. Now, you've acquired a lot of companies. You've developed a lot of technologies in-house. Tell us, how do you make or buy? What's that decision like internally at Enreach?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, because what you have to remember is I'm actually still a programmer. I don't program on the systems anymore. So when we started, when we were just 4 people, there was no make or buy decision. It was obviously make. And why would you buy if you can make it yourself? And I would say that DNA has led in part to the success that we have. We were the first ones with Cloud PBX in the Dutch market by making our own solutions around it. And still now today, that makes us, I would say, the leader in many countries in Europe. But as you grow, as you scale, as you encounter challenges with that scale, you see that you can't do everything yourself. As the landscapes broaden, so it's beyond UC and CCaaS, it goes into other territories. You can't build everything yourself. You have to make smart partnerships. You have to realize what is at the core. And for us, this is contact magic. So everything that influences the way people get in contact with each other, we would like to stay on top of, and we would like to really create a great user experience there, an exciting user experience, what we call magic. So really something that positively surprises you. That's where we make. I would say where we buy technology, and that means buy in the sense of we don't build it ourselves. We become a customer somewhere. That's what's beyond there on the periphery. So we don't have our own mobile networks. We don't have our own fiber networks. Those are things that we procure. But we also don't have our own productivity solutions, because there's already a great player out there called Microsoft, and there's also some others that have great solutions. We integrate towards that. We don't build our own CRM, but I would say at the core is the contact, and that's where we do make. Now, of course, if you're talking about M&A, as a company, we've bought some companies as well. I would say there, what we've bought, and which I would now say that we are making, because it's companies that have been part of the group, that is really also always around contact. So we've bought companies that are the leaders and the key challengers in their respective countries. And in the cases where they brought technology, it was always around contact. It was usually contact center inbound, contact center outbound, embedded contact center types of services. So those are the companies that we've acquired and have made part of the group, and thereby we've become a converged contact solutions player. We could not have done that by building from scratch our own CCaaS solution. I'm convinced we would have been too late, and the solution would not have fit the customer needs in time.
Fantastic approach. I'm a bit of a mobile technology fanatic, just by way of example. My first mobile phone was in the UK, where I had a SIM, and I roamed in 1992 with a Nokia mobile phone from the UK to the Netherlands, and I thought that was magic. And of course, it's been a long road since then. But help us understand your mobility offerings. As most UCaaS companies don't offer their own mobile services. So how is combining, mobile with UCaaS different than saying Enreach paired with separate mobile services? What's the magic you're looking to create there?
Well, I would say it's magic we've been creating for the past 10 years already. And in this case, I would say I can give you some examples. So when we started this in 2012, for instance, in the Netherlands, we saw that people were walking around with 2 mobile phones, one for business use and one for private use. So
people still do that. It's amazing.
I don't know. People seem to still do that. Now with eSIM, it's become more easy. But back then already, we said, look, even if you have just one SIM card, we cut away the one-on-one relationship between a SIM card and a mobile phone number. So we were able to provide 2 mobile phone numbers on one SIM card, allowing you to select which ones you dial out with based on your personal preferences, the time of day, or who you were calling. And many people did not believe we were able to do that in 2012. And they say, yeah, it's crazy. And we were able to do it. So it almost seems like magic already back then. That's, I would say, one example. So how do we do that? By becoming what we call a full MVNO. So it means we've deeply invested into mobile core technology. We've become a virtual mobile operator. So we don't have our own antennas or masts or frequencies, but everything that comes on top of that, we do control. And this allows us to create a very robust experience for our customers. It allows us to say, even if you get a native GSM call, or if you get a call on your mobile phone number, we are able to deliver it inside of Teams or inside of our app. Even if you are not having any data coverage, we are still able to provide you with an integrated experience because we still have GSM coverage, also when roaming. And all of that is part of the same Cloud PBX solution. It means when the receptionist gets a call and you're busy on your mobile phone, she can see that you're busy and she doesn't transfer the call, but she transfers the call to someone else. So it creates a better end customer experience. And for us, the reason to do this 10 years ago, and still the reason to do it today, is the same. Many workers, and even more now today, are using their mobile phone as their primary device. And yes, they can also use our app or any other app on that mobile phone, but still you can't really drive that user behavior. And many times they just use the native GSM caller. And even when they do that, still we are able to provide a holistic integrated experience. And this is the step we can take because we are that mobile operator. And on top of it, by being a mobile virtual operator, we can also say, even if you're using our app on the data network, we are able to provide a better quality. There is, of course, there is net neutrality, but that doesn't mean if you have a real-time application, it can't be treated a little bit more robustly because of the fact that we treat it as a telephony service and not an internet service. So with the quality, we are able to better guarantee. If a customer has any problems, we don't have to point them to their mobile network operator. It's just a one-stop shop that we are able to provide. And on top of that, all those nice functionality that I just mentioned. So for us, it's a very logical combination. And we even see a lot of demand for this when combining, for instance, contact center solutions and mobile telephony. We have many customers in the Nordics that have contact center agents that are sometimes dynamically need to be ramped up, and they just use their mobile phone to be able to join the queue and help customers when there is a sudden peak, for instance. You see this in airlines or other types of companies. And that flexibility that we allow by being that mobile operator is not just appreciated. It has really become part of the demand set of customers in many of our territories. And in those where it's not, we are convinced that that will become part of the default set of demands from a customer.
That is spectacular. Wow, that's really a leap ahead of what's happening here in the US market anyway, in terms of fixed mobile integrations. Congratulations for that. I hope to see more innovation on that front. And tell us about your go-to-market. I mean, you have a fascinating go-to-market. It involves direct, indirect, through partners, through service providers. Is it really any channel or any vehicle?
I would say it is a bit different per country. So my DNA personally is in the indirect channel. So I would say the majority of our revenue are what we call service providers or wholesale customers. They buy our services and they sell them under their own risk to their end customers. So we help them with billing, with ordering, with everything, but they do it oftentimes under their own label, or sometimes they can use our label. That's the indirect channel. And where do we apply this? I would say in markets where we see the end customer really prefer a local partner to use as a trusted advisor. And these are markets like the Netherlands. These are markets also like Germany, where that is the default model for the SMB to procure the telephony services. And we decided, why would we fight against that channel when we can also use them, ask them to become our partners, and by doing that, create a much healthier revenue model for those partners. So that's, I would say, the bread and butter of Enreach and what we started. Now, in addition, when we started to expand to new markets, we found that in many markets in Europe, the indirect channel does not have always this trusted advisor role. For instance, in a market like Denmark, this is far less common. In Denmark, you see that customers like to buy directly from the source. They like to buy directly from their IP telephony provider. And the key challenger, which IP Nordic, which became part of Enreach, was selling using a direct model. So this made us consider a bit, do we want this? But in the end, for us, it's not that relevant. We say, look, we want to have the channel that works in the country that we are active in. And in some cases, this is indirect. In some cases, this is direct. But in the end, what matters is that we are able to create contact magic for our end customers. So we are quite flexible in that. It doesn't mean we have many additional models. I would say the service provider model, that's one we have from France that we are offering. And we are offering it all across the world, actually. That is something that we have that is only reserved for our largest customers that are able to run platforms themselves, that are able to use just our software to power their UC experience. Often we have smaller carriers or even larger carriers using that software. And for us, that's a matter of scale. It allows us to massively upscale our number of users our technology is applied to many more users than it would otherwise be. And yeah, it's a scale benefit that for us was a reason to also use that channel. So it's service providers, indirect and direct, and it's different per go-to-market. So it's not that we have every channel in each country. It's different per country, I would say, where it makes sense. And in the end, it's the customer who decides.
It's amazing. You take a really country-specific approach to the go-to-market. Looking at Europe from the US, we don't really know the difference between all these countries. So it's just Europe.
Well,
so,
it's funny. I just had a conversation with someone who said actually the countries in Europe are more similar than in the US, because in the US you have different sales taxes and everything, and in Europe it's becoming more.
That's a reach.
It depends on your perspective, I think. I would say for telephony, you're probably right. Europe is more different than US by state.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it wouldn't be a tech conversation if we didn't talk about AI. And not just marketing speak, you really have a perspective that AI is going to be transformational in the communication space. Tell us how and why.
Yeah, for us, AI was always something that we everybody sees coming. So there have already been chatbots for a long time. There have been voice bots, specifically in the English language. I remember my first time to the US. I think it's almost 20 years ago. Already back then, I got a computer that asked me what I wanted when I wanted to book a rental car, and not a person. So these technologies have been around for a long time. But what amazes me and what amazes us is that they haven't really broken through to the average mom and pop shop, the average business, at least not in Europe. And they haven't really broken through also in different languages, as far as we can see in our own local markets. So what we like to see is that we take a look at AI and see how can it work for the restaurant around the corner? How can it work for the barber shop in your neighborhood? How can it work for a taxi service in your local city? And that's where we have looked at. And then and we are very happy that we were able to do an acquisition in this space called Bot Squad from the Netherlands, who has been able to superpower and accelerate our services here. And for us, the real goal is to have not just chatbots, but voice bots. So our intelligent assistants, I would say, that can help you really for the mass market. So some things we have currently already live, for instance, is a bot, a chatbot that helps you book a taxi, which is quicker than Uber. You just share a location over WhatsApp and boom, you get the rest is taken care of by the bot and you get a taxi over, which is a very, very successful formula we now have. In addition, another service that we are working on is, for instance, a smart voicemail assistant that could answer the phone on my behalf and say, hey, Stijn is currently sleeping because you're calling him from the US and he's actually in a different time zone. So are you sure you want to disturb him, yes or no? Which happens more and more, I have to say, especially when I'm traveling in a different time zone. So smart assistants that look at your current point of presence, that look at my current presence, and then negotiate with the caller a better time to contact me and to make sure that the contact is not lost or just disappears into an anonymous voicemail box. And these are just some examples of where we think artificial intelligence can play a role. Now, of course, if you ask me personally, I would say if you extrapolate this further, I would say I can see a future where every person has their own personal AI screen in front of them. So I would say a shield or an assistant that can answer the phone on my behalf, that can even answer chat messages on my behalf to help us manage the massive amount of impulses that we all get, the number of calls, the number of apps, the number of notifications, which is becoming a problem, I would say, for many people to manage all of this, to not get stress and burnout from this. And assistants can play a crucial role there on the personal level by making sure you're unreachable, actually, without the contact being lost. Maybe a customer wants to buy something, but I'm not the person to buy it from right now because I have a well-deserved break. Let's still make sure the customer can buy something from someone else. And I'm convinced AI can help there. But also even on the company level, I mean, if I call a company and I always choose the same option and I always get transferred to the same agent, why not have a self-learning PBX that can already see that I'm calling and say and already predetermine it's probably likely that you're going to want to reach that person. So let's start there and figure out if we hit the nail on the head there again to save everybody a lot of time. I would say I think there's a lot of key exciting innovations that are going to come here. And we're happy that we have the right technology there to play a big part in that.
Wow, that sounds truly magical. I can't wait to get my hands on those applications. And just wrapping up, for those of us who are history lovers like myself, I remember the time in history when the Netherlands was a global superpower through the infamous Dutch East Indies companies with presence on every every continent. So what's next for Enreach? Are you going to be a global communication superpower? Where are you off to next, geographically and otherwise?
I would say yes. We don't like to compare ourselves anymore to the East Indies company. They have a little bit of darker history as well, I can tell you. But,
yes, they've been
of course,
canceled.
we're proud that we were once an economic superpower. Now, as Enreach, Europe so far is big enough. We love the fact that we are able to bring together different cultures in Europe, have many teams. Almost every team in Enreach that is involved in building a product consists of people from multiple locations and multiple backgrounds working together. And you see the product getting greater because of that, getting better because of that. And there are still a lot of countries in Europe that we are not active in. So I'd say first and foremost, Europe has our focus. I would say if we look a bit further ahead, I don't see a reason why we couldn't look at other geographies. I'm not sure whether the US makes sense. It's a very different market, as you already mentioned, with big players already out there, very expensive, different approach. But there are other continents that might make sense. It's not a daily occupation for me to look at these right now, but I don't think it's in the realm of the impossible that we take that step in the next 3 to 5 years. But first and foremost, Europe, we're not done yet. We're just getting started.
That's fantastic. Well, congratulations on all the success. One final question: when you're not running this amazing organization, or I shouldn't say even running, it's decentralized. So when you're participating in the magic building at Enreach, what do you do to de-stress, to unwind, to relax, to disconnect, as we're all trying to do more and more?
You have great timing, because I just if you look closely, you can see I'm still a bit sweating. We just kicked off our fittest company of the Netherlands competition that we're a part of. So we just had the entire office walking for 2 hours around the building, playing a type of soccer golf, where you actually hit the soccer ball and you try to hit the goal. So that's one thing I think we all do together to relax.
That's great.
In private, I love boxing. We have a new sport here called padel. I don't know if it has reached the US yet. It's like tennis and squash combined.
Is it like pickleball? Pickleball? Is that something different?
I have never heard from pickleball. It looks like tennis and squash combined. It's very popular here. So that's something I love to play. And I did actually get my pilot's license in Crystal River in Florida this year. So that's also something I like to do to relax. Of course, you can't relax too much when you're flying, but at least it's something different.
Well, that's fabulous. And thanks for spending time with us and sharing your amazing journey and insights, and onwards and upwards. So great luck. Good luck in your next phase of growth.
Thank you very much. And thanks for having me.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.